All right, module 1 of the GBO business coaching. And this is the Gbo Roadmap. It's a 4-step process. And this is the basis of how to do digital marketing. It's the basis of how to do any kind of marketing, but digital marketing makes it a lot easier because we have access to the information with a keyboard, with a mouse, with our mobile phone, our tablet, and the internet has spoiled us because what used to take 6 months can be done in 6 days now. Now, this 4-step process is called a roadmap because the map is never the territory. If you've heard that quote before, it's clarified by knowing if you're given a map and you're thrown into a forest or a desert or a city, because you have a map, which is 2-dimensional, the 3-dimensional territory is never the same because you have obstacles, you have other barriers that the map doesn't show. So a GPS sometimes, if you have one in your car, will show gas stations and restaurants, but the map is never the territory. So even though this is a map, the only way to have a good sense of the territory that one of your members and clients goes through is for them to execute and to take action. And so you know all about the mental and the emotional part. You know a lot about the spiritual part, but this is the physical part. What do you do in business? The inner game is making sure their minds are aligned, and that is 80% of it. But many times the 20% becomes more difficult for them because they go back to the mind. For example, when I get Q&A and I'm doing group mentoring, I'm many times asked questions that all they have to do is ask their market. And I don't know the answer because they know their market better than anyone else, but they haven't bothered asking their market because they're focused on creating their message. And part of the process is first who, the market, and then what, the message. And so when your members are asking you questions that they could get the answers to, don't answer them for them. Put it back in their laps like a porcupine. They throw you a porcupine, it's not comfortable, so throw it back to them and ask them to do their homework, such as, well, what would be the key objections for my market? And I throw it back and I say, I don't know. Go ask, what are the key objections for your market? It's not just money and time, because if you get more specific and you have a very clear message, then they're going to have very specific objections. So the only way to find out is, rather than selling them initially, is find out why they won't buy. And by doing that, you can't be rejected, which is many times what they're afraid of in the inner game. And if they get the objections first and they get responses to those objections, then they can have a book of objection responses. And now they're a lot more responsible, the ability to respond in order to go through that map. But the map is never the territory. So when they come back to you and say it's not working, if they haven't spent more time in the territory, then there's no way they're going to succeed. The map is there for 20% of direction. It's a guideline, but it's not the territory. They have to be in there, and it's not your responsibility to be in their territory. The only territory you're in is with your own niche or with your own members and clients. I'm going to call them members because that's what they are. So let's begin with module 1, the GBO Roadmap. That's what we're calling it. And it's the starting point. And I'm hoping that you'll learn a new distinction with what we cover, because even though I've taught this before at GBI, it never is embraced enough for people to go into the territory. They look at the map, they put it on their wall, they study it, but they never go into the territory. And a map is useless. It's not supposed to be a vision board. It's supposed to be a guideline to go through the territory and make it to point B. So this is a 4-step process, and here are the 4 steps. Number 1 is identify the niche, not the industry, not even the market, but a micro market is the niche, or even a micro niche. For example, if the industry is sport or sports, golf can be the market, golfers, but what's the niche? The niche can be putting or driving a golf ball or getting out of the sand if it lands into the sand, or how to make a chip shot from 50 meters away. Those are niches, and they're a lot easier to identify. And plus, you have more products there if you have an information product, and you have more products there if you have products. So identify the niche. Now, in the US, we call it niche, but there's not one American here, so I'm going to call it a niche. Next is content. Step 2 is, once you know the niche, then and only then can you create content, which is the message. Now, what do most members do? They focus on the content that they're passionate about, and they start to sell. But people hate to be sold. They love to buy. So you want to get them in the position to buy. So you can't come up with content until you observe what the niche wants. Now, this is something that may be counterintuitive because most of us are narcissists, growing up, and we never learn, other than being parents or pet owners, if you don't have kids, of serving others. But then we forget in business because we have a passion and we have this intensity and inspiration to get something out in the world because we know it's going to work. And yet we have clues out there of all these buying niches. And literally, I've counted over 200 of them. And one of them should be of interest to your members. But if they have something that is not part of that buying market, then it's not going to work because there are no clues online. They're going to be pioneering, and that's not what we want. We want something that's proven and already working, and that's tough enough to make work with all the other mental blocks that gets in the way. So step 2 is create content. Why? Because you have to attract the niche. The content is like honey, and then the ants are coming towards you. The content is the bait, and the fish are coming towards you. Do you feed the fish? No. If you feed fish, you can't catch them. You bait the fish so you can catch them, and you're not going to kill the fish. If you kill the fish, then that's one transaction. What you want to do is put that fish in your fish tank so it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. If you've ever owned a goldfish, then the bigger the tank you put it into, the bigger the goldfish gets, and that's what you want. Step 3 is to build the list. So if you have identified your niche and you created content, then you're going to build a list so you can communicate with them when you want, not when they happen to see you or stumble upon you. So when they're out there, they're looking at content, and hopefully your content is engaging enough so that it ends up getting their attention. When it gets their attention, now that's baited them to come in to your aquarium. And if they opt in, you no longer have to worry about having them seek you out, which is very random, and it's not predictable. It's not anticipated. If they're on an email list, or if they're in a Facebook group, or if they're a follower in Twitter, a list is not just email, but email does help. What ends up happening is now you can at will go out to them and contact them. Now, when I say you, I'm meaning your members, but I'm also meaning you because you have your own businesses, and this is what you ought to do as a digital marketer and as a professional marketer, someone who actually makes money. And then finally, engaging the community. So once you have a list, now you have to warm them up because not all people buy on the first try. That's like a one-night stand, and not everyone is that way. A transactional person ends up not becoming a lifelong relationship. Those of you who are in this training right now have been with me for a very, very long time. Some of you less than others, but there's a reason for that, is because I do this. I identify the niche, I create the content, I build the list, and I engage the community, and there are ways to do all 4 things. So these are the 4 steps, and it's the 4-step process for the GBO roadmap to get to the promised land. And they can guess wrong. It can be the right map, but it could get to the wrong destination because they took a wrong turn in the territory. And the only way they know is to get into the maze and find out if they ended up in the wrong place. And one of the mantras I want you to remember is it's okay to think big. I want to sell 1 billion books. I heard that from a discovery session yesterday from someone who hasn't even sold 1 book. And so I said, that's a great goal and mission. I know 3 people who've ever done that: Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen, God with the Bible, and there's probably one other. And so rather than a billion, can we make it 100,000 so that the thing that you see inside your mind, you always see something twice. You imagine it first, then you see what's out there. The gap is what's in between, and that's an inner game philosophy. So if the goal is 100,000, it's on the path to a billion, but 100,000 is much more doable. So if he sells 10,000, he's 10% there. If he sells 10,000 and the goal is a billion, I think he's 0.01% there, and it's probably less. I don't have a calculator. Now, here's the first key point. First who, that's your niche. Then what? That's your content or message. First who, then what? I will tell you 90%, not even 80, 90, maybe 95%. There's no way for me to measure it. Will always start with what? And the way you know that is when they say, I have this great idea. And what I say is time out. What difference does your idea mean? Tell me about your niche. Who are you going after? You sell to a 70-year-old differently than you sell to a 7-year-old. You sell to someone unemployed differently than you sell to a CEO. So they're both men and women. They both have needs and desires, but the niche, their behavior, their psychographic, not just demographic. There's nothing about a 26-year-old woman who's 5 foot, 10 inches tall, which is tall for a woman in most of the world, that's in the US especially. Let's say that she's an executive and she's a vice president. She has several managers underneath her. There's nothing about that demographic that even gives you a clue that she loves MMA fighting. Nothing. MMA is mixed martial arts. That's where guys and gals beat up on each other, both men and women. There's nothing that can tell you that she would love MMA. So how would you find her? Well, you would get a list of MMA attendees or a website that has a list of MMA seekers who are interested in MMA, and that's how you know that she's there. The fact that she has those demographics is less relevant than the psychographic of the magazine she reads. Maybe it's an MMA magazine, or the YouTube channel she belongs to. Maybe it's an MMA YouTube channel, or to the events she goes to. Instead of going to restaurants with a boyfriend or girlfriend, she goes to MMA events. So psychographic is most important. First who, then what? The moment you hear, I have a great idea, can you help me? You say, time out. No, I can't, because you're starting already at the wrong step one. Step one is the most important. If you're not pointed in the right direction after step one, and you'll see as I'm training you that step one takes the most time. If you screw up step one, step 2, 3, and 4 are irrelevant. If I make a 10-course meal and it starts with sorbet, which is to clean the palate, and then it goes into shrimp scampi, and then it goes into tuna salad, and then a filet mignon, and then let's say sushi, and I didn't bother to ask that I had vegetarians at the table, then I have a problem. And all that work I did was for nothing. Now, I created a great meal, but not for that niche. And that's where going in the wrong direction enthusiastically comes about. That's suffering. That's unnecessary. So I want to spend 80% of the time identifying the niche, knowing what makes that niche tick. I know that for a GBO student, their greatest fear is getting left behind. The moment they feel they've gotten left behind, they start giving up. They won't tell you that, but that's one of their greatest fears. One of the other fears is that they won't be able to do, they don't have the skill set or ability to do what I do. I can do it, but they can't do it. Now, you're mentoring these people. And that's why with the inner game, it's much easier to mentor them. The moment you start mentoring them with the outer game, now everything is accountable because it's not inside the head. They can't feel better about themselves. Now they have to actually do something. And when they see that what they did isn't what they expected, what they imagined wasn't in reality, and there's a big enough gap, you got to deal with that inner game, and it'll come back to the inner game. Now, they will blame other things. They will blame you. They will blame the market. They will blame a lot of things because they have these expectations that are childlike because they have no experience. They don't realize that what I do and what my colleagues do, we fail 90% of the time. In fact, if we win 10% of the time, we're 400 or 500 times better than everybody else. If I'm sending out mail to someone that doesn't know me, like me, trust me, if I'm lucky, 2 out of 100 will say yes, just to opt in. So there needs to be a definition of reality so people know that that outer game is a process and they're not going to get it in 3 months. Another thing I know about the GBO members is they think that because it's internet, that it's easy. It's not easy. It's simple. It's convenient. It's miraculously amazing to get access to all this information, but you got to do the research first. So I want them to sharpen the saw 80% of the time and then start cutting the tree 20% of the time. That's why step 1 is so important. And sequencing is the key. Sequencing in any recipe, baking a cake, cooking a steak, okay? If you season the steak after it's cooked, it's not seasoned. So you have to season it first and then cook it. If you put in the eggs before you put in the flour for a cake, you got a problem. If you put in oil before you put the butter, or if you melt the butter, you have a problem. So sequencing is another area that's a blind spot. So here's the sequence for the roadmap. Market niche. Why? Because that's where the money is. That's where the decision maker is. The message has no decision and it costs them money. So the market niche, which is who, that comes first. And you will battle this. In fact, you will battle it inside your own head and heart when they fool you and they say, I got this great idea. And if you think it's a great idea, you'll start getting intoxicated with their marketing speak, which is insane. Because if they can't tell you the objections that their market niche has, if they can't tell you what content their market niche loves, if they can't tell you who the top thought leaders in their market niche is, then they don't know their market. So market niche is who, message content is what are you giving them? You can't know what to give them until you know who you got, right? And then number 3 is the media list. The media list means Facebook has Facebook group. Email has email list. Twitter has followers. YouTube has subscribers. So that's the how. How are you going to get to them? So the reason I put lists is it's not just email. I know people who don't even have an email list. All they do is blog, and they have a massive exposure. They have massive following. I know YouTubers who don't do Facebook, who don't do Twitter, who don't do online marketing. They don't have their own website. Now, we're assuming with GBO, they're going to have their own website. We're going to assume they're not doing e-commerce only where they're selling stuff on eBay and they're, let's say, pimping stuff out where they're getting something from China and selling it. That's not for us. That's not the right person for us. Or Amazon, right? We're assuming that they want to build a certain brand of their own, and we need to find a niche for them. The media list means not just email, but all the other social media that's involved. LinkedIn, you have LinkedIn followers. That's what list means. All right, so step 1, identify the niche. Now, where can you find proven niches of buyers? Well, there's a difference between browsers and buyers. Buyers go to Amazon. Buyers go to ClickBank. Buyers go to the 3 resources I'm going to show you right now, and I'll do screen share. However, buyers don't go to Google. People go to Google to browse, okay? People go to forums to browse. People don't go to Facebook to buy. They go there to party. They go there to connect with other people. People don't go to LinkedIn to buy. They go there to do research. People don't go to Twitter to buy, right? People don't go to social media to buy. You can't sell directly as easily as you can if you're on Amazon. People go to Amazon to buy a book or to buy goods and services. So that's a buying platform. Be aware that there are browsers and buyers. So the three platforms that I teach, and there are many more, Amazon is another one, but that's very obvious, is dummies.com, magazines.com, and clickbank.com. Now, why are these buying niche platforms? Because all of the books, there are over 200 million books in publication that have been sold for dummies. There are 300 million dummies books in publication, in circulation, that have been sold. There are 200 new dummies titles that come out every single year. People are buying these books. They're very niche oriented. They're how-to books. So every topic on dummies is a buyer's niche. Okay, there's a clue there. So people go to dummies.com to buy a book. Okay, I'm using dummies to research because it's free. Magazines.com. When you buy a magazine, you're already hinting at the psychographic that you're in. If I'm buying a magazine, let's say for veteran wives, people who've gone to war and have come back, and there's a magazine for wives of veterans, well, that's a very narrow niche, and you can dominate that niche if you're an expert in that niche and you've earned the right. So magazines.com is another place of buyers, not browsers, like dummies. And then clickbank.com, not only does clickbank.com have buying niches, but you know how well the products are doing. You see some sales materials on how the product is doing, and you know the sales activity, so that the joint venture partners, we call them affiliates, it's the world's largest affiliate network. They've paid, I think, close to $15 billion in affiliate commissions. You know that some products are selling better than others, so it's a great place to go and model. So what do these look like? All right, so let's take a look. If I were to share the page and I go to dummies.com, this is what dummies.com looks like. Now, what I do and what I want you to teach your people to do is click on the topics, browse topics. And here you see consumer electronics, games, personal finance, pets, sports, food and drink, arts, crafts. These are all buying niches. You can make money from these: social media, software, careers, computers, etc. Now, what type of product would you sell them? Well, that depends. You don't have to be a teacher like me, right? You don't have to be a coach. You can actually sell products. So let's take a look at health. So if I go to health and I look at dummies books, then what I'm seeing is here, sex, why it may help you live longer. So let's say someone has gone into psychology and focuses on sexuality, right? I know of one of our mentors here that has focused on sexuality. So sex, why it may help you live longer. So sex equals longevity. So and this says mental health, right? So it's physical and mental health. So you click on that book and you look at the author, and then you gain more insight because this is giving you a clue. But you don't know what you're going to go after yet. This is all about research. You're not making a decision. Another thing that your members do is they make decisions too quickly. They don't research long enough. This first step should take no less than a week. No decisions made for a week. Because how can you possibly see the universe of what you're interested by day 1 or day 2? And they're not working a full day, you know that. If they're working 2 or 3 hours, that's still not enough, right? What is sprint training? That's more health related, right? Insulin pumps, okay? Diabetes, that's a very, very hot topic. In fact, diabetes, if you look at diabetics, there's a lot of information where you can sell them product, sell them advice and coaching. I have a $60,000 client that is a former pharmacist who lives in Melbourne, and she focuses on diabetics because her kids are diabetic, and she does it through an Ayurvedic or ancient Indian technology. Allergies, okay, these are all topics that what you're looking for is a topic that they have interest in. Right? Now, if you're passionate about something and you come here and you don't see anything here, Well, if that passion takes over and you say, well, I'm just going to do what I want to do, they're going to fail. These are proven, and this is just one. There's many, many more. So let's go deep and look at sprint training. So if we go for sprint training, what is sprint training? All right. So if I looked at sprint training here, okay, which would be very relevant to me because I work out almost every day, then if I were in that health and fitness, let's say I'm a personal trainer, then I could start, a business online, and I would look at this author, Casey Crowe and Abshir House. And what's the next thing I would do? I would follow the breadcrumbs. These are breadcrumbs. So I would follow them and start doing more and more research. And if I like what I see, then I take note and I put it on a spreadsheet. BMR, basal metabolic rate. If I know what that is, I want to go deeper and deeper because these people have proven that it works. Okay? And so I keep reading, and then I may buy the book, I may not buy the book. But these are giving me clues about content, dynamic stretches, burning calories, etc., etc. So this is all to help buy the book. In fact, if you really want to get elegant, where it says sponsored content, if they're advertising for this topic on Dummies, then once you're up and running and you want to sponsor, because let's say you have a podcast, then you can come back to these folks and say, hey, you know what? I noticed you were at dummies.com and you were in the health category, specifically what is sprinting. And, I do the same thing. Would you be open to sponsoring me? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 potential sponsors from immunotherapy, Life Brew, Monday.com, Yahoo Search. These guys are paying. These are sponsors. Now, who would know that these folks are sponsors? You wouldn't know. I wouldn't know, right? But you have proof here. And so looking at sponsored sponsors is very, very important. And I would take that down. And then related articles. This whole page is full of so much robust information. I could spend the entire training on this. Sprint training, safety training, training basics, running training, exercise. That's just one topic that's just one subtopic from the topic of health right here, okay? So that's dummies.com. I would spend a whole day just on Dummies finding out what interests me. Now, let's come back to me. So here are the 4 steps to handle Dummies. Browse the topics. Those are the niches. Pick a topic of interest. And I hope there's more than 1 or 2 because each one is just so full of content. Browse the book titles. So the topic is going to be those topics I saw you, right? Picking one is clicking on health, right? So browsing is there's over 20 of them. Then you pick one, and then you browse the book titles like I just showed you, and then you research the author because that author is a potential JV partner in the future or a potential interview that helps you create content. Now, I'm not going to ask you if you're getting this and if you're tracking. I'll wait for the Q&A. But this by itself is going in a completely different direction. Most people go probably a different direction than you go. So next is the magazines.com. Now, before I show you magazines.com, I'm going to do just the reverse because some of you think differently. So first I showed you the web page and then I gave you the training. Now, for some of you, you want to see the training first and then the website. So here, magazines.com, the process is browse the categories at magazines.com, browse the magazines within the categories, pick some magazines of interest. They got to be interested in it. I don't say passion because passion blinds people. When someone gets so passionate, they're completely blinded. People die because of passion, okay? And then research the magazines online. You don't have to buy the magazine subscription. Some of those magazines are online, and I'm going to show you an example of it right now. So browse categories, browse magazines, pick some magazines, and then research. That's one day. And that's one day for me. One day is 4 hours, okay? None of this 1 hour bullshit, okay? This is a real business. how many stores make money that are open for 1 hour? Stores are open for 12 hours. Stores are open for 8 hours. Your members, my students, put open for business for 30 minutes, and then they turn that and says, we'll be back soon for 23 hours and 30 minutes. You build a business that way. You may do that when you're learning something new. When you're learning something new, when you're researching, I'm going to challenge you to focus on research more, because it's 80% of it, and it really makes life a lot easier. The best marketers are the best researchers. So let's go to magazines.com. So magazines.com is right where I'm telling you. It's at magazines.com. And it is here. So now you see magazines.com, and the categories are here. And I'm going to see if I can make the screen bigger so you can see the categories, because you can go on your own and see them later. So here are the categories: animals and pets, antiques and collectibles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to go to parenting. Now, categories are too broad. Okay, so if someone is interested in parenting, that's much, much too broad. It's like focusing on golf, focusing on personal development, focusing on sex. Sex is much too broad, right? So parenting, if you go to parenting, then you see all of these parenting magazines, many of which you probably didn't even know existed. It's incredible what people buy, okay? So Family Circle, very broad. Sports Illustrated, they just threw that in there, right? Family Tree, we're getting closer. Now, autism, there's a good one, because parents with autistic kids, that market is growing. Okay, what about this one? Military spouse. I like that. That's awesome. Military spouse, who knew? So I click on military spouse, and I want to take a look at that magazine. So I'm opening that up, and I see it has it's 12 issues per year. It has one review. But that doesn't mean anything. Is this a buying niche? Yes, it is. Do military take action? You better believe they do. Why? We have someone from the military in this training right now, because they have to. Otherwise, their life depends on it. If I had my choice, I'd only hire military, because they do the shit on time, and they never go beyond the chain of command unless they are overcommitted. Hint, hint. So military spouse magazine. That's what I love about training. I can take jabs at people and they can't respond back. So if you add to cart, that means that you're buying the magazine. I don't want them to buy the magazine, but I do want for your members to look at what's on the cover of the magazine. Decorate your quarters with dimes. That's a headline. Guard your health with TRICARE. I don't know what TRICARE is, but I'm not the spouse of anyone in the military. Beat clutter. Living on base. Is housing improving? These are all topics, and these are proven headlines. Why? Because it's on the cover of the damn magazine. The woman's health issue. Okay, so if I were here's another military, rebel wives. Rebel wives. Here's another one. It says you might also like rebel wives. I like this one more, actually. Right? Loud and Proud with Lily Burana. Who's that? I have no idea. But I do know that she's probably an expert and has more status than I do. So I would love to ask her if she would do an interview. Talk techie with me, right? I like that play on words. We tested the webcams. Does that mean that some of the military wives might want a part-time job because when the guys are away, that's the way they want to play? So there's an opportunity for stay-at-home moms, military wives, who start a business online. I think there would be a great niche. I don't know much about it, but I do know that the Better Business Bureau has given an A+ rating to this, right? So then the next thing I want to do is research online. I want to research online. So I'm going to research Military Wives Magazine, because I don't want to buy the magazine. It's only $15 for the year, but I want free research, and so do your people. Oh my gosh. Militaryspouse.com. So I go to Military Spouse, Simplify Your Crazy Wonderful Life, and I have now an entire website simplifying your crazy wonderful military life. I didn't know it was crazy. I had no idea, right? And here are blog posts, and all I do is I write this down on my spreadsheet and look at all the sponsored posts I can go after if this is something I'm interested in. Now, none of you may be interested in this. And then there's military wives in Australia, military wives in America, all kinds of stuff. So look at all the research we have access to, and the key is not to commit too soon. There's a book club. There's other magazines, digital and print. I love digital because it's easier. There's, I don't know what a duty station is. I know what a pet is. Relationships, parenting, family, friends. Look at all the different micro niches that we can go into just for the military life. Deployment, I think that means going outside of your base and going to war or going to another base outside the country. Career, homecoming, I don't know. Does that mean when they come home, right? Confessions, well, that's interesting. New military spouse. All right, so there's another niche. Is a new military spouse different than an existing one? You bet it is. Is a new dentist different than a dentist that's been around for 20 years? Their attitude is totally different. A 20-year-old dentist does not really like their job. I know the dental trade, right? They just want to play golf and get out of the office. They've been looking into dirty mouths and dirty teeth for 20 years. But a new dentist is excited. The new dentist wants to pay off all the dental school loans. So new military spouse, that's different than a military spouse that's been one for 10 years. And then what about a military spouse that has a deceased spouse, God forbid? We know that that's more possible than civilians, right? Because they're serving us to keep sovereign nations, those of us who live in sovereign nations. The jury is out for America right now, but I hope it stays that way. I'm fighting for that. So, and I'm not even half kidding. So here I'm looking at all the different possibilities just in this one area, and that's magazines.com. So let me come back. Magazines.com, browse the categories. I spent 10 minutes just on one magazine and going down this rabbit hole. Browse the categories, browse the magazines, pick magazines that are of interest. I believe the only one, unless I don't know that much about all of you, but I know that the most likely person that would gravitate towards military spouse would be Michelle, right? Because she is military compared to anyone else. I'm not saying militant. I'm saying just from the armed forces. So she would be the closest. And if you browse through that and it's of no interest to you, then guess what? Then you don't know much about it. And if you see things that violate what you know, because the person writing an article has the map, but the person who's reviewing the article is in the territory, that happens as well. And that's a great opportunity to do a point counterpoint. So review, browse the categories, browse the magazines, pick the magazines of interest and research the magazines online, including the authors. I mean, there are a lot of authors within the magazines, and you can look at all the headlines that are on the covers of the magazines, because those are the best copywriters that put those headlines there, and those are great headlines for your own content, which is another process. Now, how much time should you spend on magazines.com? Well, I have no objection to spend 2 to 3 days on dummies, 2 to 3 days on magazines. This is the foundation. If you're building the foundation on quicksand, then that building's not going to stay up. But if you're building a deep foundation, which means more research, okay, research may not be sexy to a lot of people, but to me, it's allowing me to build a taller building, because the deeper I go down, the taller it goes up. The deeper the roots, the sweeter the fruits. Now, intellectually, people get it. Emotionally, they're not willing to go through it. Beware, especially if you have the bad habit of going to the solution too soon. In sales, if you go to the solution too soon, you will not have rapport. Now you're parenting. Now you're pontificating. Now you're lecturing. But if you suffer with them and have empathy, and you identify the problem and they get you, they know that you're getting them, you could sell them anything. You could sell them a poop sandwich and they'll buy it because they believe in you. You wouldn't do that, but all of it is in the research. All of it is in having empathy with that person, not sympathy. Sympathy is too removed. Empathy is actually feeling with the person. All right, what about the next part of the research, which is finding and identifying the niche? Okay, clickbank.com. Now, this is one of my favorites, but the other two are just as important. And you can still do Amazon for a couple days for the best-selling books, because there you got a lot of good content. You look at headlines, you look at book titles, you look at subtitles. Clickbank.com, that process is browse the categories, pick a category of interest, browse the offers. See, they don't have magazines and books. They actually have offers that you can buy online. They're the largest affiliate network in the world. So they have digital products, audio, video, written, and now they're getting into physical products. They have offers at a certain price, and they're usually low price. They're under $100 typically. And then research the offer marketplace. Okay, these are the 4 steps. Okay, so what does that look like? Let's go back to screen share. So ClickBank, if you land on ClickBank, this is what it looks like. And with ClickBank, you see these categories. It says categories up here. And then when you see featured products, is that a good selling product or a bad selling product? That's a good selling product. So if you see something of interest here, you click on it. Rocket Languages, award-winning system that gets you speaking Chinese and loving Chinese culture. Okay, so what if you wanted to teach English to Italians? Rocket English, award-winning system that gets you speaking English and loving the American culture. I mean, it's a template right there. And German Shepherd Handbook. I don't know, are German Shepherds in season? Okay, Jamorama. It looks like it's something dealing with music. Longtail Pro, Passion for Dancing. Okay, now these are all buyers' niches. Singing lessons. I guess that's so you don't look bad at karaoke. All right, so let's pick travel. All right, so I go to travel, and I'm going travel. Italy from the inside. Well, I don't want that. I just have to ask Ricardo. So that's a waste of money for me. So I keep going. And let's say, let me go to Cancun, okay, because I like Cancun. It's fun. Cancun on the cheap, $27. The money-saving secrets which got me banned from Cancun hotels for life. Is that a great template? Now let's say that I want to promote Adelaide. Okay, Adelaide on the cheap. Money saving secrets which got me banned from Adelaide hotels for life. There's your template. And then you see a little description, and the description is a great way to get some copy, which is kind of an executive summary. The category is Caribbean travel. And then related products, you're looking at other products that are related, and every one of these products have a creator. They're not an author, they're not books, they're actual products. This one, I think, happens to be some kind of digital report. So let's go back, and this one got my attention. Retire in luxury. Do senior citizens have more money than college students? I think so. Retire early, reduce your cost of living by moving to Mexico and live better than you do. So let's say I'm in America, my dollar gets more purchase power in Mexico. I move to San Miguel. I may want this for $20, $19.99. All right. So what I'm doing is I'm browsing the categories, and I do this for at least 2 days. So here are the categories, right? I'm picking a category. Well, I just did. I clicked on specialty travel. I browse the categories and find something of interest for me, right? And then I research in the marketplace. All right, well, what the heck is the marketplace? Well, check this out. The marketplace is what makes ClickBank a miracle. And it says affiliate marketplace. So check this out. If I click on travel, here I'm going to find by popularity, or by average dollar sale, or by initial dollar sale, or by average percentage sale, or by average rebuild total, which means continuity, or by average percentage of rebuild, or by gravity. Now, gravity is something that only ClickBank creates. You can go on Google and type in what gravity means, but the higher the gravity, the better. So a gravity of 10.73 is better than a gravity of 3.45, because affiliates are promoting here. And with affiliates, you don't need any favors from them. You just need to make the money. So you just need a good offer, which means that you need a niche that's in high demand. So let's say I chose average dollar initial sale. That fits the GBO mentorship, right? These guys are transaction people, right? I want to go, they even go low to high. This is high to low. Look at all the information I got. So average initial sale. So I click on that. The initial sale on free flights with travel hacking, high converting and unique offer, view mobile, okay? This is generating $41.33, right? So if I promote that, okay, if I promote it, then it's telling me how much I can make if I were to promote it. But what I want to do is I want to see what the offer is, right? So now I go to the page and I look at the hidden airline loophole that lets you book $1,000 flights for $20 or less. Okay, and there's a video here with sound. Turn on your sound, video begins, and that's a brilliant. Did you see that? We're going to do that again. That is a brilliant. I'm going to pull that. Look at that, because there's no sound, right? So turn on your sound, and there's a countdown. I just love that, man. My name is Derek, and I'm a professional travel writer, blah, blah, blah. And the whole damn thing is on video with the background being this. All right? A loophole that lets you book flights, which is normally the cost of over $1,000. Could you take this entire website and pull it and use it for something else? Of course you could, right? You could do it for trains. You could do it for hotels. Okay? This is working on ClickBank, and this is his website. It's just brilliant. So that is the power of ClickBank. That's why I love ClickBank. So once again, you browse the categories, you pick the categories of interest, you browse the offers within the category, and then you research the marketplace. Now, people will say, Alex, why don't you just go to the marketplace first? Because you're chasing the money if you go after marketplace. You're chasing popularity. If you're not interested in something that's popular, you're not going to do it when the going gets tough and you've gone the wrong direction enthusiastically. Start with your interest and then see what's closest to your interest. That's why I did it in that sequence. It is not a mistake. But here's what your GBO members are going to do. They're going to go straight to the marketplace. You see how excited I got? But the sequencing is this sequence you see in front of me. Browse categories, pick categories of interest, browse offers, and then research the marketplace after you've done that. What's the difference between browsers and buyers? Well, it's very simple. Browsers aren't bad, but since most of the GBO members want speed, buyers monetize more quickly than browsers. That's all. Buyers monetize more quickly than buyers. If I were to type in belly dancing scarf, okay, which is a scarf that the belly dancers put on, usually a woman will put on their hip, that's a buyer. If I type in belly dancing, that's a browser. They're doing research. So a buyer will, and this is going into Google, a buyer will monetize faster than a browser. All right, here we go. Q&A lightning round. Now, not all 4 steps are going to take that long, but that's going to take the majority of the time, because if you get step 1 wrong, then you get the rest of them wrong. Step 1 sets up everything else. So let's go with a show of hands. If you have a takeaway, I'm open to hearing the takeaway because it's on audio. And welcome, Jack. If you have a question, I'm ready to go with that as well. So who has the first question? Raise your hand. Justina, go ahead.
Okay, I have a question about one thing, because you mentioned how much time they need to spend at least on doing those things. But what I noticed with GBO students, they had tendency to spend too much time because of their fears from starting. So how to manage with this one?
That's not true. I'll tell you with absolute certainty that's not true. they're not spending time researching, Christina.
Mm-hmm.
They're spending time worrying and in their mind thinking, okay, should I do this or should I do that? Should I do that or should I do this? I don't know. If I do this, will I be wasting my money? And what if I fail the first time? Well, you're going to fail the first time. Fail as much as you can. Mistakes are great. The more you make, the smarter you get. Don't confuse research, which is intentional versus worry or stress. I do it. All of you do it. I guarantee it. You wouldn't be human otherwise. So they're spending all this time. That's called procrastination. That's not called research. Research is not procrastination. It's intentional movement. If you tell them, can I see, if you want to ask me, how do I know if they're doing research? Ask for their spreadsheet.
Okay. Good.
Right? Okay. Now, if I asked all of you for your calendar, would I see prime time every single day? I don't know. Would I? Would I see enough? You say, but I bet that wasn't there for a long time. And the moment you started doing it, are you actually doing it? I know I had prime time today, but I had all these things hit me from the side, and I didn't have enough flips of my hourglass today. So I'm going to be up late because I got to get my flips in before I get to bed. So they're not spending too much time researching because they're not researching. They're not going into the territory. See, this is the first, they're dropped. They're parachuting into the territory. What they're doing is they're looking at their map and they're going, they're going like this. That's what they're doing. And all of you have done that. You can't tell me. If you say you haven't done it, you're lying. I've done it. I still do it. Okay. The goal is to do it less. It's to do it less. Make sense? Is that a fair answer?
Yes.
It's true whether you want to believe it or not.
Yes, it's true, but may I ask the second part of this, for this?
Go ahead.
Because what I notice sometimes when I'm giving a writing assignment, I hear the response, okay, I was thinking a lot about this, but when I ask him, okay, did you write this as I asked? No, I was thinking a lot. So how to manage with this one in the business side?
Well, that's a GBO inner game question, okay? Writing is the doing part of thinking. So you can think all you want, but you're going to see your product on the shelf and you're going to hate yourself for not taking action. So writing something down is the next step of taking action. There's so much. That's why you've been focusing on inner game. Now, this is the big leagues. This is where you're actually having them do stuff. And if you don't call them on something they're not doing, I'm nowhere near as tough on you as I am with other people. Now, I'm tougher here than I have been as GBO inner game. And I said, I don't care if you pay for it. I don't care if you go through all of it. If you don't pass through the process that I have set for you, I busted my butt, for very little money for me to do this thing. This is module 1. We got 5 more. So I don't care. I don't care if I don't graduate one person. I'm not going to let someone go out there and pretend to be a business coach when they're not. So if they don't bring back their spreadsheet, just like with content, if they don't bring back the editorial calendar, if you say, Alex, can I see your editorial calendar for all selling aside? I say, sure. Here it is. I'll email it to you. People on this training have seen it. I have over 104 topics. I'm at 35 right now. So that's the physical version. And wait for it. It's no guarantee that it's going to make money. Many of these people have never been parachuted into their map, into the territory. They've never gone there. They've been looking at it from, on top. They see what other people are doing. They don't know what those other people do. If someone comes and shadows me for one day, if all of you did, I don't do that anymore, but I used to do it. I've had a few Aussies fly all the way here to shadow me for $10,000. They can't ask any questions until late. And then we have dinner together. Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? They're just watching me. They're shocked. They're shocked at what I do. So if you were to shadow your idol in business, whoever that may be, it better not be me because I'm not deserving of it. But whoever is you hold in the highest level, if you followed them for one day, you would be shocked what they do. That's the ritual. So if you did that or you did half of that, you would be more successful. So writing is the doing part of thinking, and then doing is the doing part of writing. All right, who else? Q&A. Going once. Michelle.
Thank you so much for that, both Justina and Alex. So I had two things written down: the procrastinators and the behaviours that you see from them. And I'm also very interested, because I'm in this as a recovering one, but in the perfectionists. So they get into action, but they don't finish. And I'm there because I'm there 5 years later after doing GBO.
Yeah. So, but you're here now. You're here now. So what's the question?
So if we have GBO clients that have been in action but not taken that step, how do we support them? Like, what are the steps? And I know this is very concrete, but I'm trying to work out, how do we move them along the process?
I'll tell you how to make it less. So in your indoctrination period, in your deep dive period, it would make sense if all of you took an inventory of every single fucking thing that frustrates you about your members. Those people I've given you. You write down every damn thing that frustrates you. And then before you start coaching, you say, now, before we begin, let me tell you what can go wrong. Now, I'm not saying you're going to do it, but let me tell you what could go wrong. Now, if you're a procrastinator, you're going to attract a procrastinator because you're vibrating at that. If you're a complicator, you're going to attract a complicator. Some complicators are perfectionists and procrastinators. They got the holy trinity of issue. You're going to attract those people, and you're going to feel comfortable with them, right? If you think you're ADHD, then you're going to attract someone who thinks they're ADHD. I saw my ADHD imposter laughing, so I'm serving that. I'm trying to make this as direct as possible. If you go to a lot of events, and you don't stop going to events, like someone who's here watching right now, he came a little bit late, probably he was at an event, and I have another one, and his drug of choice is being on stage. Right? So if you have people who have competing intentions, so imagine Leo, and I have permission to tell you this, I helped get him on stage at Warrior Training in Brazil with his boss, who now is no longer his boss, which I was instrumental in, right? And then something he's doing for free, his drug of choice, which is on stage, and it's getting in the way, it's something he gets paid for with me, and he's paid well, Brazil or not, and I'm in the middle of a launch with someone who is very dear to me, and I named the launch, and the launch was my idea, and I don't think we're going to do as well as we're going to do, and he knows I'm stressed about it, and he's on stage, and I need him for something else, and now he's gone, right? Then you have these competing intentions because his drug of choice, not pharmaceutical drug or recreational, I'm talking the drug that he loves to do, be aware of that. See, I love asking, hey, what's your drug of choice? That's what I'm saying from now on. They go, what do you mean? I'm not saying recreational or pharmaceutical. What is it that you love to do? You know what my drug of choice is? Helping people who are lower status than me. They have kept me lower status, and I will continue to do it. My friends don't help people lower status. They don't help the little guy or little gal, right? They only go up. That's what they do. But that's not my drug. My drug is making things work for people who are at lower status. What's the problem with that? Well, they have their own mind and head trash, which you experience. But guess what? You get paid for experiencing that, right? So I don't feel that bad. And I don't, if you have complaints, write them down and say, this is what could go wrong. And is it okay if I call you on it when I see it? And then you better not behave that same way. That's not only healing, but you're going to help another soul. You're going to assist another soul. Who has the next question? Okay, let's move on. All right, Leo, I got to go, guys. I will finish watching in the replay. See you soon. Where am I going? I'm going to take my drug of choice. That's where I'm going. Okay, here we go. Step number 2. Anyone remember step number 2? Don't write it down, but does anyone remember? CC, create content. Question, where can you find rich, not money, but rich, like content rich, on a niche that you decided to test? That's another thing about your GBO people. They think the first thing is the thing. The first date is my love for life. Every other part of life doesn't work. The first intimate encounter will yield a baby. My former wife wanted me to go to a sperm bank because I couldn't get her pregnant, and we found out later it was her, not me. And I was about to go, and then Gabriel came into the world, thank God, because the sperm bank was in Manhattan in my building. That's the last thing I needed, is for the doorman to say, hey, Alex, I saw you went up there, right? That's not something I wanted to do. And it's funny now, but I didn't want to deal with it, right? So whoever said the first time is going to be the only time? Well, that's what your GBO people think. So you can disarm them by saying, hey, your first time may not be. That's why we test. That's why people date. In Italy, they don't date. They go on the piazza and they like look at each other, right? And they go, I want that one. And then pretty soon they're not taking that walk anymore because they're together. Okay? Now, I may be wrong, Ricardo, but that's what I was told. I like that system because now you don't have to be rejected during the date, right? You can just kind of walk and do the glance, and then she can do her thing, or he and she, or she and she, or he and he. It doesn't matter to me. So where can you find rich content on a niche that you've decided to test? Wait for it. Wait for it. It's everywhere. Once you know the niche, now you know what direction to go. But it's not the precise direction. It's in a general direction. Like, think of a quadrant, right? So you have north, south. This is your east and west, okay? East and west. So we're talking about, well, I have my niche, so I'm going to go northeast or northwest or southwest. That's the best analogy I can think of. I mean, that's an awesome analogy. Or southeast. You're just picking 4 quadrants, and if you pick the niche, you're going to go in that direction. Now, do you have to zigzag to get to the right place? Yes. How do you find that? Well, you go to blogs. You go to Amazon, iTunes, LinkedIn, YouTube. Alex, do I have to do all this research? Yes. Research is 80% of it, unless you want to have a lot of false starts. Twitter, Quora. What's Quora? Well, go to Quora.com and you'll see. This is where people ask questions on your topic. You actually have the frequently asked questions right there that people are asking. All right? Dummies books, right? Magazines, and ClickBank products. Okay? So that's where you go. That's your answer. Okay? Now, there's 2 types of content, because many people say, I can't write content. Well, you don't have to. You can hire an intern to write it, right? Or video it, or audio. Content is video, audio, and written, right? So one type of content is original content. That's what I do. Hey, you know what motivates me to do original? Because I want people to think I'm smart. Why do I have these cards? Because I want you to know that I'm prepared and I care about you. And I know other people don't do that shit. You know how long it took me to do these? A long time. You know how long it took me to do the curriculum? About 4.5 hours. Just that one page, 3 versions. Okay? What motivates me is I want to feel smart. Maybe it's a childhood issue. Maybe not. I have no idea. I got good grades. But that's why I do it. That's my... I guess it's a confession. I don't think I've told you that, or maybe I said it on stage. But that's what ultimately, if I appear to be the smartest one in the room and I say I want to be the dumbest person in the room, which I typically do, then that's not false humility. I want to be the dumbest person in the room, but I want to appear to be the smartest person in the room, right? So when I go to a mastermind like the one I got put together at Wizard Academy in Austin next Thursday and Friday, that's what I'm going to say. I want to be the dumbest person in the room, but my presentation, I've worked on 42 hours and I'm not making 1 penny from it right now. But it's like Velcro. There's 100 hooks in there, and I know some of them are going to stick with people in the room. And I've already identified who I wanted to stick with for next year with beyondbooksales.com. So there's 2 types of content. There's original. That's what I do. I do it because I want to appear smart. Frank Kern does it. I don't know why he does it. He's good at it. Russell Brunson does it. Vishen Lakhani does not do it. He doesn't have a lot of original content. He's written 1 book. Okay? Or there's commentary content. Commentary is someone else's content and you're commenting on it. There's a lot of that in the world of politics right now on YouTube. So you take existing content and you know that it's winning content. How do you know? You look at the number of comments. You look at the number of retweets. You look at the internet is actually telling you. If I picked up a magazine, I don't know how many people have picked that up and purchased it. I've asked the vendor, and he or she probably doesn't know. On the internet, if you see, 2,000 comments versus 20 comments, I'm going to go after 2,000 comments and see what that person had to say. They have status. I'm going to comment on that because it makes me look smarter. That's my influence. Isn't that cool? So the sequencing here is you got to follow the content leader. That's your shortcut. Follow the content leader. We call that a thought leader. And then invite that leader to interview them. Why? Because it's free content. Do a Facebook Live, right? Now, will they always say yes? No. When you're starting, 1 out of 10. Actually, 8 out of 10 ignored me, and 1 out of 2 said no. Okay? Now, when I ask, depending on who I ask, it'll be 1 out of 1 if they're equal or lower than me. It'll be 1 out of 5 if they're higher than me. And it's always a matter of timing. The higher you go, it becomes timing, right? So you invite them to an interview, and then if they say yes, tell everyone that you got a yes so they actually show up. Do everything you can to get people on there. FIT, follow, invite, tell, and that's called the FIT formula. That's an acronym. If you've studied with me, you know this to be true. It's in PBI. Follow, invite, tell, tell, tell. And this speeds up, it speeds up your status. So if you are hooked to a thought leader like I am, I'm hooked up with a lot. Like I was with Jack Canfield last week, and I'm having dinner with him and all his team, and I'm talking about Harvey Mackay and one of Harvey Mackay's techniques. Harvey Mackay's a very busy guy. He has 8 international bestsellers, and he's a best-selling author. If you don't know him, you can look him up. Mackay. I get on my mobile phone. I called up Harvey Mackay, and I gave him to Jack. And Jack's talking to Harvey Mackay. He's never talked to Harvey Mackay before. And I mean, I was lucky. I'm at the dinner table, and he goes, "What can I do for my friend?" Harvey says. I go, "Can you talk to Jack Canfield?" "I'd love to talk to Jack Canfield." He gives it to Jack. Jack talks to him, gives me back the phone. We hang up. He says, "Was that really Harvey Mackay?" Now, everyone else at the table didn't give a shit because they don't know Harvey Mackay. Jack couldn't believe it, right? So that means I have status, right? Some people have status because I know Jack, or that I know Bob Proctor, and I mentored Bob Proctor's grandson. So it's going to increase your status, and plus you get more content. That interview is content. This is how I made a name for myself in 2001 with teleseminars. I interviewed everyone I could. And the reason I could is because there was the misfortune of 2 buildings coming down in Manhattan. And when that happened at 9/11, 2001, no one was going to physical events, and I was the teleseminar guy. So that disaster, I didn't know it at the time, opened up an opportunity for me. And that's what started my interaction with those people of status. Okay, so what's the most important tool that produces, reduces, it can produce this too, it reduces content stress. What's content stress? It looks like this. Oh my God, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna write? I don't even know what to do today. I'm out of ideas. That's content stress. Or content worry. What am I gonna do tomorrow? I don't know what to do tomorrow. I don't know what content to do. I have something to say. I don't know what to do. Did you get a curriculum? It's 7 modules, 0 to 6, that's 7? Yes, you did. Am I pulling these cards from that curriculum? Yes. Would I have been stressed to do all of these cards in the order it's in if I didn't have that curriculum? Yeah, I'd be stressed. Okay. So what I do is I develop an editorial calendar, or at least a table of contents. That's what you do with a book. I like to do an editorial calendar of 3 months. And 3 months is not 12 weeks, my friends. 3 months is 13 weeks. Why 3 months? Because it's a season. If it's good for summer, winter, autumn, and spring, it's good enough for you, right? I go with nature. So 3 months is not that bad. 13 in advance. Now, I've done a whole year, but I'm not going to ask our members to do it. I'll say, oh my gosh, Alex, this is work. Yeah, it's work. Financial freedom means work. You want to know how long Richard Branson works? Or do you want to know how long Elon Musk works, or Donald Trump, or any other, leader, whether they're corrupt or not? Okay, they work long hours. Do you want to succeed? It's going to take work. It's simple, but it's not easy. And I never say that you do it immediately. I say, I want you to dedicate an hour, half an hour to an hour a day, 3.5 hours a week to get started. Then you can increase it. You don't even do that, and you know it. Okay, how can you choose content topics that are proven and engaging? How can you do that? How do you know with absolute certainty that, let's say you're doing a commentary on something and you know it's engaging and it's proven. You go to Amazon and you look at reviews. You go to YouTube and look at comments, and you go to Quora and you look at questions on that topic. All the clues are there. Okay? So how do you develop your 13-week editorial calendar? Well, the first thing you do is you pick a topic. Okay? So let's say the topic is building your editorial calendar. That's the topic that I'm going to write. Okay. Then I do 5 tips of secrets to build your editorial calendar. That's what plus means. Okay. This card, I did this card 8 times. 8 times I did this card because I had no room to put moving away or moving toward, right? So I thought, what could I do to make this, logical? So I put plus and minus, okay? So plus means moving toward. So 5 secrets, 5 techniques, 5 strategies, and minus means 5 mistakes, 5 errors, right? 5 embarrassments, 5 disasters, okay? So I pick 5 topics. So 5 secrets on how to create an editorial calendar quickly, 5 mistakes of what most people make when creating their editorial calendar. Boom! I got 10 right there. I got 10 weeks right there. Where do the other 3 weeks come in? I'm going to show you. Week 1 and week 7. Week 1 is 5 strategies to create an editorial calendar. And each strategy, you go wide and shallow. Wide and shallow means you talk about what the strategy is and why it's relevant. And then you go to strategy 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. As if you did 5. If you're a super achiever, you can do 7 or 12. Have them focus on 5. How will they remember 5? They can count their toes and hands if they're a normal human being. If they have 6 toes, then they're an overachiever. So why 7? Why 7? Because if week 1 is what and why for those 5 strategies, then what's week 2 through 6? Well, week 2 through 6 is focusing on each strategy one by one, what, why, and how. How takes the longest time. So how takes up 80% of the time. So if how to develop an editorial calendar, let's say tip number 1 is identify your topics. What is that? Well, a topic is something that's proven. You can go to YouTube and look at, or you can go to Amazon and look at reviews. Why is it important? Because you want something proven so you're not playing pin the tail on the donkey with your time. Okay? And how does it work? Well, that's for weeks 2 through 6. Okay, so it's very easy to outline that for video, for audio, or for written. I like video because it's easier. I can pull the audio out. So pick the topic, and this topic is for 3 months, coaches and mentors. So do the moving toward, moving away. Weeks 1 and 7 is what and why. Okay, mistakes is moving away. Strategies is moving toward, but you can use other words. Errors is moving away. Tactics is moving toward. You know what that is. And then 2 through 6 and 8 through 12 is going deep for each one. What, why, and how. Why is that so important? Because now you dominate that topic on the internet. Google will love you. And what do you do week 13? Do the most frequently asked questions that have come to you in the previous 12 weeks. Now, that is an editorial calendar. It's lightning round, 4 questions. Who has the first question? Let me see it. You see how much faster that went than step 1? Okay, yes, Ricardo. Mr. Piazza.
About something that I actually do, because I do have a live show, and we usually talk about we talk about several topics, and it's all about problem awareness, and it's all about doing it funny, using interviews. I'm interviewing actually people that have already mastered the language, or they're on their way to master the language.
All right, time out.
Yeah.
So can I use you as an example right now?
By all means, please do.
Thank you. Okay, so do your members and clients do what he's doing right now? He has a question, and he's giving me a story. So what I would say is time out. Now, if he's been with me for a while, I would, within 10 seconds, I say, time out. What's the question? But I let him go for 30 seconds, and I say, time out. Okay. So Ricardo, what's the question?
Right. The question would be, how do I implement this strategy into a live show that also includes either interviews or, you know, fun facts as well?
Okay, so the reason I said there's two types of content, commentary and original. An interview is a third kind of content, but it's very hard to have all of your interviews fit into your editorial calendar because they don't follow directions. I mean, you have an interview and you've given them the questions that you're going to ask and they go some other direction, right? So I don't like to interview people because after 5,000 interviews since 1993, I've noticed that my interviewees are like children. They do not follow directions. Minnie, my dog, would be a better interview than most of the people I interview because when I say sit, she sits, okay? When I say wash the dishes to my kids, and my kids are the best, the dishes don't even leave the table. And I'm supposed to be, you know, a thought leader. So I would say, forget about your interview, focus on a YouTube channel or a blog post, focus on your social media platform of choice. I use Facebook Live, don't I? I have an editorial calendar. Who knows this? Michelle knows this. Each month I have a topic and then I go deep. Do you know how much, I mean, I have content until, if I died today, then I wouldn't be stressed anymore, but I don't want to die. I would have content until mid next year. So all of you could put on an Alex mask and take over at marketingonline.com, right? So start another show. Don't just do the interview. That's only one little thing. The interview doesn't follow instructions.
You mean on top of that, like to have it separate?
Yeah, on top of that. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And you don't even have to do it live. You can do blog, you can do YouTube. Just pick the one that you're most comfortable with. A blog is awesome because a blog Google loves. Google loves a blog. And it's simple. But so is video because you can pull a blog from the video itself. Sure. Next question.
Thank you.
Lightning round. You're welcome. Thank you for letting me pick on you. Now, if it were Leo, by the way, because Brazilians are higher than Italians, and I can say this because he's given me permission, Leo would continue to set the context. You don't have time for your members to set context. Get them to the question because many times they don't know the question and they're thinking of it as they're talking. You don't have time for that. You don't have time. And that's not what you're getting paid for. You're getting paid to have them ask the questions. If they made no money and they finally learned how to craft questions or an editorial calendar, they got 10 times their money worth. I would be so proud of what you've done, okay? Because I haven't been able to do it. So if you could do that, that's a massive accomplishment. Yes, Michelle.
So one of the things that, so the question is, what's the low-hanging fruit in this process that people can get into action quickly and make their first dollar?
Okay, first of all, I want to acknowledge you for almost repeating what Ricardo did, and you caught yourself, so your awareness is there. So congrats. Let's everyone give her a hand on that one. Okay, public, thank you. Even the people who it's way late in the evening right now. Now, the way you do it is you give them an example. You give them an example. So you say, Alex, do you have an example of your editorial calendar? Because I don't have one. Or better yet, you create one and give them an example. This is what it looks like. Now, let me give you an example. Here's what I know what my superpower, and you can disagree with me, but I won't believe you because I know this with absolute certainty. And that's what you want to know what your superpower is. I know what my kryptonite is. I know what my weaknesses are, but my superpower, without a doubt, is analogy. Analogy and metaphor, which means storytelling. I am the best who I know at that. Now, why is that important? Because I can take a mental picture and put it in someone else's mind and heart. So if I told you, well, just create an editorial calendar and show them an example. That's a B-. That's not a very good example. That's not going to be memorable. Well, Alex, what does it look like? Well, can I see one of yours? Sure. Even if you saw mine, okay, it's still not going to get to your heart. But what if I had a juicy analogy that you would always remember? Here it is. When you get a jigsaw puzzle, and I'm sure all of you are familiar with what a jigsaw puzzle is. A jigsaw puzzle is a picture of something made of cardboard. Then these blades come down. It always helps to do the, imagery. Blades come down and they cut them in little pieces. And then they mix them all up to torture little kids so that the parents can actually do some work around the house. It pays to be funny. And sometimes you are, sometimes you're not. And then they put it in the box. And now you have to put that together. Now, here's my question. Is it easier to put the jigsaw puzzle together if you look at the complete picture on the cover of the box? Or is it easier if you don't look at that picture at all? I have always experienced that it's easier if I'm looking at the cover of the box because it has the picture. The jigsaw puzzle always has the picture on the cover, and then I'm trying to model that. That's what I'm asking you to do. Give them the complete picture, and they have pieces of the puzzle because it's life, and they're putting it together. That's an analogy. Here's another one. When you have a recipe book, what do you have? You have a picture of this beautiful cake on one side in 4-color. That's why you paid $50 for the damn book, because it's in 4-color. And then you have all the recipes. I see Justina has bought recipe books before. And then you have all these recipes on the other side. All right? I just want you guys to have fun because I'm having fun. I'm just more firm in this kind of coaching. Now, you have all the ingredients. Now, are you motivated to bake a cake if you just saw the ingredients? I'm not. And here's the best part. When you see the ingredients and you follow it exactly like I have. I'm a single dad. Exactly like they told me. I read every single thing. I even Googled a damn thing. It never turns out like that cake in the picture. So what do? I hire a coach. I spend even more money. How do you make this fucking cake look like that? Because I can't. Oh, well, you got to do this and this, and you got it out of sequence. I said, but look at the goddamn recipe. No, but they got it out of sequence. Well, how would I know that? Okay, because they're a shitty recipe book. That's why. All of them are there, but the sequencing is everything. Okay, so time out. In that story, magnifying and amplifying sequencing, as well as show me the picture first, shadowing, right? When someone comes in, oh my God, I know what a ritual looks like now. I know what a day should look like. Right? So you show the example, and that's how children learn. Here's another final example. I want to cascade and compound this. I know a mother who has 4 children. She is the most loving mother I have seen. Definitely more loving than mine overtly. I know mine loves me internally because she tells other people and I hear about it, right? But I didn't hear I love you growing up or I'm sorry. Now I hear it if I say it first. So that's Carol Mondosian. Now I know a very loving mother who's overweight, like my mom, but she has 4 kids. And she is incredibly loving to them. The kids are not overweight. They're not obese. And they are the most insecure kids that you will ever meet. That's not me saying it. That's them saying it. And they go to therapy and they're fucked up. And they're older. Like they're a little younger than me. So I'm thinking like, how the hell did these kids turn out this way? With such a loving and like not overly loving and doting, but how could they turn out that way? Well, you want to know what the therapist said after 4 years of therapy, whom I knew? It's brilliant. The kids did not hear the support the mom gave. The kids did not hear all of the cheering at the sidelines, soccer games. What the kids observed secretly was the mom looking at herself in the mirror after she woke up and she said, I look disgusting. Look at this fat body. I am disgusting. I can't even believe I look this way. I just can't live with myself. She thought secretly. And that's what they observed. Guess what? That's what they picked up. So people observe and that's what they model. So what you say, it doesn't have as much impact as what you do, which is why I want to be the same person on stage as I am off stage. Like, I'm not putting on a show right now. I'm the same person on, same shit irritates me on stage, irritates me off stage. When I'm stressed out like I am today, I tell you, right? That's what I wanted to be. Because personal development people and people on stage don't do that. They have 2 lives. They're politicians. Now, the one thing I couldn't make happen, but I got Sandra now, so thank God, is I couldn't make the marriage work. Because that's what I wanted to do. I said, okay, this guy didn't do it. This guy didn't do it. This guy, I didn't do it either. Okay? So I saw that as a huge failure. But when Sandra shows up, I looked at it as I had my practice wife. Now I can work on this one. And she's not the easiest, believe me. So that's the way I look at that process. People will follow what they observe. So be very careful what they observe online and offline, because we live in a transparent world. Those are multiple metaphors of what modeling looks like, from the jigsaw puzzle to the cake to the mom and to whatever else I said. There was something else in between. Well, any more questions before step 3? All right, let's go. So step 3, building the list. Oh my God, how do you do it? Well, you post your content on social media and people are stumbling upon that. And then you have a call to action to go to a landing page. That's something you own, not Twitter or Facebook. You own it, like marketingonlinementor.com, right? And then you make an offer. Get 4 video training to learn all about the shift happening in digital marketing, how to find your market, how to create a message, and how to get the right media. You make an opt-in offer. Post on social media, have a call to action that goes directly to your landing page or to your members' landing page, and then make an opt-in offer. Now, here's the big deal, and your people will push back. It pays to test different offers during 13 weeks. So the first question I get when I teach this to my high-end clients is, does it have to be the same offer? No, it better not be the same offer. Change it every 3 to 4 weeks. I change my offers every week, and I find out what works, and then I focus on the things that people really, really want. And that, just go to my, look at my Facebook Live recordings. I'll give you every one of them. They're all transcribed. If you want them, they're yours. I think it'll be a waste for you to look into them, but if you look at the titles, you can decide which ones you want to study. So it pays to test different offers. Does the offer have to be paid? No, the offer is free. It's a free offer. Does it have to be mine? No, it can be someone else's. It can be someone else's that you got to borrow with permission. There's a lot of those, or you got an idea, okay? But here's the key. Here's the key of sequencing. You have to coordinate all social media with the same identical content. What's the single biggest mistake people make? Well, on Twitter, they're putting this. On YouTube, they're putting that. On Facebook, they're putting this. What if everything was coordinated like a bicycle wheel and they all went into one place month after month? What if that happened? Wouldn't that be cool? Confession, I don't do this to the level I could do it, but I keep teaching it until I can't stand it anymore, and I got to do it. I don't feel like a hypocrite because I think I do it well. I do it better than most. I repurpose better than most people who are far more financially successful than I am. Repurposing is going to be my topic at my mastermind. They don't do it, so I want to do it for them. Why? Because I want to get paid to repurpose, so I don't have to pay my repurposing team and they can get a pay raise. What? I want to take that expense. That's a big chunk every single month that I got to pay. And at my tax bracket, I got to make twice as much to pay them, right? What if I got paid and then I paid them and they get a pay raise and it costs me free to repurpose my own stuff? That's why I'm going to this mastermind. All right. So it's important to coordinate, and that will take a year. Now, if you're starting from scratch, you can start it from scratch. The reason it's hard for me is I've screwed it up for so many years and I have so much content. That's another superpower I have, is creating content, that coordinating is very, very difficult. But when you're starting, it's a lot easier to coordinate. So you don't have to be on YouTube. So you could do Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. You can do those 3, or YouTube and Facebook, or YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. You have the content. So you're going to put little drops of honey, and then you're going to have a call to action to go to one place with an offer. And these days we have ClickFunnels and we have lead pages and other forms. I use ClickFunnels. All right, it's time for Q&A. Lightning round. Who has the first question? Raise your hand. Going once? Going, yes, Michelle.
Really quickly, you're blowing my mind right now. And this is the question.
That's
how do we, yeah, of course. How do we, or do you have a checklist for us to know exactly what needs to be done at the end of this? Or are we creating that?
I don't have one. I'll pay someone to do it. Whoever volunteers, and if they're good at it, I'll pay you. But there's no way I can do it.
No, that's okay. I was just asking because I'll
No, I
build
don't.
it out
I
of my
think we need
notes.
one. I believe in
Yeah.
checklists, right? So,
Well, and that's the concretes. The reality of this is that there are what I'm seeing is there are certain skills and there are certain actions that have to be taken within all of this, which is great because the rest of it can seem overwhelming if you, and that's my learning style. So if I know that I just tick it off, okay, do this.
I'm happy to pay you. I'm happy to pay you to do a checklist, and we can continue your curriculum thing if you want to do one. Here's the problem with the checklist. Beware. It's false hope. Because a checklist is still a map. It's not the territory. So imagine they do everything on the checklist and they fail. Unless you warn them, they're going to think there's a Santa Claus. And there may be. They just haven't met him. Or her. Or it. People are confused about what they are these days. So,
what do you mean that? What do you mean?
Let's say you did everything on that checklist. Let's say you've done everything I've told you to do. Jack knows. See, that's the smile of knowledge. That's wisdom. In fact, I'm going to let Jack explain. Jack, unmute. This is a good way to get someone to talk who hasn't spoken. So, Jack, why are you smiling? Because I think you know that you can do everything I'm telling you to do and you can still not get the result that you expect.
I've been there before. Essentially, I can create checklists very fast. But the checklist, there's no guarantee in life, in our business, or whatever we do, checklist can get to the outcome that we expect. I mean, I've been there before many times. Having a checklist doesn't mean guarantee success.
It doesn't. However, it's necessary because people make sense of a checklist. Like if I had visuals or infographics, that would be awesome. Like if you paid me $5,000 each, this would be much bigger. But I think a checklist is absolutely necessary here, but I'll only give permission. This is a subject to, right? Like buying a home. It's subject to you getting financing. If I give a checklist, it's subject to, if they checked everything off, it does not guarantee them that they're going to meet their expectation. And that's what a checklist does. It will give false hope unless you have that waiver, that verbal waiver in telling them that. But it'll give them a one-page overview instead of a bunch of cards and screen share. So I think it's very, very valuable. Yes, Michelle.
Okay, so people buy from you for a range of reasons, and one of them is the outcome. Is that guarantee? Is that where you look at the different levels as in, they do it themselves, done with you, done for you?
My guarantee is they will never see the $100,000 again. That's my guarantee. Listen, let me tell you something. And I'm going to say this because it's going to sound political, but I'm so sick and tired of what's happening in this United States because I've never experienced it in all my life. And I've never been so politically interested as I am now. You will know what direction I'm leaning by what I'm about to say. The difference between capitalism, which we're in right now, and socialism. So my son is about to go to college. And the colleges are infested with socialists, right? Because the professors have tenure, meaning they have guarantee. What's guarantee? I don't know. I'm not going to make any money today. What guarantee do I have? So already they're in a socialist thing, but they live in a capitalist world. So I asked my son, because we're arguing. I said, who owns that phone? He says, I do. I said, well, you're a capitalist. I bought it, actually. If the government owned that phone, you'd be a socialist. He says, that's communism. I said, no, it's not. Okay. Who's paying for your insurance? You are. Okay. You're a capitalist. Government's not doing it, right? Socialism, I'm using as a metaphor now, is guaranteeing the outcome. Okay. It's having equal outcome. That's wrong. We are not going to have equal results. We may be created equal, right? But we're not going to have the same level of status. Just look around, right? So equality of outcome is like guaranteeing the outcome. Every single student that comes through is going to be a multimillionaire. I've never said that. I never guarantee the outcome. Here's what I guarantee. This is a nice little close for all of you. I guarantee the opportunity. You will have the opportunity to have the best outcome possible. You'll have a better opportunity with me than anyone else because no one tells stories like I do. No one gives the content like I do. And no one cares from another country to coach you 6 times at 7 a.m. in the morning when I'm feeding my kids, to you, Kuala Lumpur, to you, India, to you, Brazil, right? I'm going to have equality of opportunity, which is capitalism. It's capitalism. Can everyone afford an iPhone? No. Right? So not everyone will get that result, but there's an opportunity to get it. And we live in the greatest time ever. The moment you start saying that everyone needs to have the same outcome, including someone coming from another country that's not even a legal citizen, they can't vote, in my opinion. So I'm a capitalist. And if that's a bad thing, then tell me something you don't own. As far as I know, all of you own the clothes that you have. The government doesn't own it, as far as I know. And we've seen when the government owns something in the Far East and out Eastern Europe, it doesn't work after 100 years. And millions of people die. Because guess what? When you have equality of outcome, there's still leaders. We have a hierarchical, humans are hierarchical. So those leaders now have power beyond capitalism, at least the capitalistic equality of opportunity. At least it kind of, the smarter you study more, you find a good niche, whatever, that makes it safer. That's why I live here, right? But if I lived in, let's say northwest of where Jack is, northwest, well, it's not as safe for me to have open-mindedness. In fact, Google right now is creating a search engine for China. I know this for a fact, not only in the news, where Google is looking at how to censor the search. Is that equality of opportunity? No. Do I get to exhibit my free will? No. So that sounded political, but it really is. We don't guarantee outcome. We guarantee opportunity. If you're coming here for outcome, then you're in the wrong place, because I can't be guaranteed that you're going to do the work and keep going, that you're willing to keep going even though you failed 95% of the time, and eventually 90% of the time when you're 100% better than you are right now. There's a good line right there. So that's a point I'm really passionate about, because it's so ignorant to give equality of outcome, because that's not how human beings are. And when you do that, that is a myth. The people in power are abusive. And you just look back in history, not too long, right? It becomes feudalistic. So I'm big on equality of opportunity, not equality of outcome. I think all of you know that by now. Any more questions? And you know where I stand politically. Okay, yes, Jill.
Not a question, but a comment. And I just want to say that as a distinction in business, as an indoctrination for our business coaching, I think that is critical.
Yeah, it is. Well, maybe I haven't had enough sense to teach you that, but there's a meme right there. I believe in equality of opportunity, not equality of outcome. And you have 2 O's and you have 2 E's, right? You know what I say? All people, you've heard me say this probably, all people are created equal, but not all people are treated equal. What do you mean? Well, a guy who just opts in is going to be treated the same way as one of you. All the time you've been with me, I'll treat you better than my 100K clients because they're a pain in the ass, right? So it's not about money for me, but it's the people who I know got my back and are still around after they take a flogging from me verbally, and they know that I just want them to improve because I go after the little guy and the little gal, right? And I'm not saying you guys are little guys and little gals, but I'm saying my goal is to bring you up in status. I'll take Diana. Hey, Diana was afraid of her shadow when she came in. I remember when Sandra was coaching her, and I forgot the other gentleman's name. He was in MLM. He was in Herbalife or something, but what was his name?
Rolando.
Rolando. I loved him. He had the best freaking attitude. He was like he was the Spanish Leo Fernandez, right? And I remember Diana, and Diana was the most incredible soul. She could in no way, she had the same opportunity, but she is nowhere near the outcome that she has now. Just becoming a coach was a big thing. And then the head coach, and then the affiliate manager, that was some experience. And she handled it like a champion. And then getting renewals for GBO. What I've seen in Diana in 5 years is a miracle because of equality of opportunity, right? And I'm not stroking her ego. It's just true. She's the best example, right? So the goal is having equal opportunity, not equal outcome. Capitalism versus, if you want to go, to me, socialism and communism is the same thing. I mean, look at Venezuela, but communism, you know. And if I talk to Chinese, I don't even say this, right? So everyone is not treated equal, but everyone is created equal. We all started naked, bloody, and crying. That's how we started, unless you were artificially conceived. And one day we will be. All right, step number 4, engage community. This is the easiest thing in the world. Once you did the first 3, here's the sequence is hardest, harder, but not as hard as hardest, hard, and then this is easy. Why? Because you got the people. So all you got to do is love them. If you ignore them, the people who don't do this are the people who are really good at the other 3. They get cocky. You can name names, right? So create a Facebook group. That's where they're going to go. Forget LinkedIn, YouTube, all that crap. They're going to go to Facebook. You have a membership site, they're not going to engage in there. They're going to go to Facebook, right? It's like, okay, the party is in this city. I'm going to go to this house. That's your group, okay? Create a Facebook group. Have a 3-question survey. What's that? Well, any group you go into, I always have 3 questions. What are the questions? Well, they vary. What are the ones for the MVP group? I don't remember. I created them 3 years ago, but Leo will tell you. And if you get yourself out of the group and come back in, you'll see the questions. So have a survey so you know who's coming in. And then allow the members to post content like I do, right? So every week, I have members of my community posting content, so I'm not the only one. And then offer contests. I have a contest just for the first 10 seconds of a Facebook Live. This is how I got the Brazilians not to get refunds, right? I said, okay, we're going to have a contest. I'm going to pay number 1, $100, number 2, $50, number 3, $25, and then number 4 through 10, $10 US. Okay. They all, did these videos, and then people voted on them, and it was just the first 10 seconds of a Facebook Live. I taught them a little thing. That was a contest. So these 4 things will engage a community inside of Facebook. Now, what does engagement mean? It means daily. I don't do it daily, but people on my team do. There's a post on my Facebook pages every single day from us, okay? Sequencing surveying is the key. Now, people don't survey. They just admit the people in. They don't get the answers. And then uncover what their needs are. Know what they want. This is about the niche that's coming into your group. And then celebrate often. If one thing we do, we celebrate, right? We do victories first. Celebrate. If I asked all of you, I'm not going to give you this as homework, but think about it, because I do in mastermind groups. If you, let's say you're going to have a tombstone. Okay? I don't know how you want to get buried, if you want to get buried, cremated, whatever. But if you had a tombstone and it was standing there, what if you could only use 3 words, what would be the 3 words that would describe your life? How's that for an outcome? Have you ever thought about it? Harv Eker asked me that on stage, and I had thought about it before. I was the only person who answered it. Everyone else was giving 5 words or 6 words or whatever. And some didn't think of it. I go, I don't know. Okay, why not? Here are my 3 words. He celebrated often. That's it. That describes who I am. I celebrate my suffering. I celebrate my stress. I celebrate my victories. I celebrate other people's victories. I celebrate. It's not always going north. Sometimes it goes south, but I celebrate. I'm dramatic. I'm Carol Mondosian's son. All right. So that's it. Lightning time, Q&A. Final round. See, if I said it's going to be 2 hours, you wouldn't show up. So it's an hour, and you guys stayed on here. Good job. Even Zita. All right, Ricardo.
Apart from money, what else could you actually give as a contest prize?
Money. A free consultation, a free interview. If it's something really big, a virtual book tour, a free seat at a mastermind.
Okay.
Yeah. A guest content provider for a blog.
As in?
If I have a blog and people post, how about a guest blogger? You know, if I review the content, think about how cool that is. I don't have to do the work, and I'm going to find out if this person's any good. Zita, you have 2 questions. Go ahead and unmute. Yeah. Go ahead.
I did. Yes.
I just didn't hear you. Go ahead.
I have been using everything that you have said today. This is my territory. Thanks God. It's nothing new for me. And concerning the last question, Ricardo, I celebrate every single milestone that we step in my group, in my Facebook group, like 400, 500, 600 people. And I offer a free consultation with the person who is the 400th or 500th. And they always come with an exact goal in the mind that they want to be coached, which I don't know about. I never know about. I just offer the consultation and not money. And I'm always surprised that after following through the videos that I'm posting, they have an intention to come and to be coached and mentored by me. And cool, that's nice. So
I'll tell you, thank you for that. And I'll tell you something else. A survey question could be, it's not mine, but it is in the intake. The survey question one of them can be, what's your proudest accomplishment? Mm-hmm. End with that. Don't start with that. End with it. Okay. Your first one could be, why are you deciding to join this group? That could be number 1. Number 2, what do you think your strength is to serve the group? And then number 3, and the 3 is there, and that's the only question that matters. That's the only question that matters, but the first 2 set them up, okay? So don't think they're telling you the truth in the first 2. The third question is, what's your proudest accomplishment? And that's what you want to read. Now you have the combination to the lock. And that lock opens up every single time. Now, one thing I don't know that Craig Hanley taught me is find out the dreams and aspirations of your team so that you can hire them so they can quit, so you can take them to the next level. 2 things happen. First of all, I'm doing something for them. And number 2, I don't feel shackled. You know, like I can quit one day and I know that I'm getting them closer to their dream. I don't know what the dreams of my team is. I don't know what Michelle's dream is. I don't know what her aspirations are, but thanks to Craig, in Hired to Quit, Inspired to Stay, I'm going to start asking. I don't think they know what my aspirations are. So that's something I've learned. But what's your proudest accomplishment? They'll usually tell you, and you can know so much from that. And they'll just glow. Like one guy told me in a discovery session, I got a bachelor's of science in music from the Massachusetts Berklee School of Music, which is very prestigious. I mean, very few people go there. And I said, I did a few things, and I said, his name is Ian. I talked to him yesterday. He had no money, so he couldn't do ZLM, but I knew that. And I asked him, I said, tell me about this Berklee thing. I mean, that is incredible, right? And he just lit up. He would have paid me the $15,000 there. So do that. All right, Jack, so long. See, that's another thing. Look what he says. Jack says, gotta go. Lecture starts in hour's time. Didn't I tell you that's his drug of choice? That's his drug of choice, going to events. Jack has been me the longest. Zita paid me the most to come in. The reason I accepted Zita is because I already knew that I had to do very little work just to turn her in a little direction, and bam, she'd get it. I didn't know her inner game. I didn't know if she would sabotage. I had no idea. But the times I've talked to her and I've privately coached her, she knows enough, and to follow through, she needs that little shift, and bam, she takes off. Well, we don't have a lot of Zetas. We need people to be in the territory. She's in the territory. And so just get them in there. And there's two syndromes I want you to be aware of, and I'm guilty of one. There's Imposter Syndrome, which I don't have at all. Impossible. Where you think you're an imposter because you're teaching something that you don't deserve to teach. You may feel like an imposter sometimes. A lot of people do when they go in the guru space. That's one. And then there's something I do have, which is called Dinosaur Syndrome. People have come past me who were younger than me. People who've started 3 years ago have come past me. Am I a dinosaur? Am I still relevant? Right? So that's what I suffer from. So be aware of that as well. I want to arm you with everything that can go wrong. We're at 2 hours, final questions. And then what I want from you is takeaways in the Facebook group. I want to know what your biggest takeaways are. Digest it. I want to see what really struck a chord, because I think I'm a genius, but you may not think so. All right, just,
One question about groups. Why Facebook, not LinkedIn? Because you mentioned forgot LinkedIn, but there are some people who just recommend based on the niche you want, right? So why Facebook, not LinkedIn?
Okay, very good distinction. You do LinkedIn and Facebook, but they will never engage in LinkedIn. So you will find groups in LinkedIn. You will find interactions on LinkedIn. You'd even get email on LinkedIn in your LinkedIn email, but they will not engage in LinkedIn. They will go from LinkedIn to Facebook and engage in Facebook. So the engagement group is Facebook. Same with a membership site. Do membership sites have forums? Yes. Are they used? No. Why? Because they go to Facebook. You know why? Because when they're engaging in the group, they're looking at all the other shit that's going on Facebook. Did I miss something? Did I miss something? Right? Spinning all these dishes.
Okay, thank you.
What I want this to be is for you to be super hyper aware of who you are, where you are, and what part of the territory you're in. This is more self-discovery than actually being a business coach. That is what I'm smuggling you. All right, Ricardo.
It's not a question. I'm going to say that out loud. So if anybody has a question.
That's so I don't call timeout.
Exactly. Thank you. I just felt like saying that actually you asked the question that hasn't been answered. You said, am I a dinosaur? I just wanted you to know that honestly, I can't answer that. What I can tell you is that whether you're a dinosaur or not, you are changing lives, and the things that you are teaching us and the way that you convey your message is loud and clear, and it changes lives. No matter whether you're a dinosaur who's just been reborn or not, that's just the way that it is. And that's the way that I feel. I just want to share that.
Thank you. And the reason I share dinosaur is I want for you to be, at the level that I think, right? Like right now I'm teacher, okay? Now by saying dinosaur, I want to level the playing field at the end and say, that's how I feel. That's my insecurity. And so I want to prove that I'm still relevant. Now, I don't obsess about it, but I never think of myself as an imposter. Ever. Never have ever. Not once. And that's a huge problem for people. You know why? Because I do the work. I do the work. I am always prepared for content. Always. Not once have I not put an outline for content. How could I ever feel like an imposter? I do the work. But when I see evidence that appears real, right? False, fear, and I see this young shit kid that started 1.5 years ago and he's making $10.5 million right now, I go, fuck you, right? Now, I celebrate him publicly, I bless him privately, but then Alex to Alex says, fuck, what the hell, right? But I don't want to do what he's doing. And frankly, I can't. I got kids. I can't do what he's doing. But man, even if I could, I don't think I do it as well as him. So I'm in awe. So that goes into Dinosaur Syndrome. And the reason I bring up Dinosaur Syndrome is because you hear Imposter Syndrome a lot. You never hear Dinosaur Syndrome, right? And Dinosaur Syndrome is more self-deprecating. So when I'm doing a mastermind, that's a ha-ha. Like I get more points when I say dinosaur, right? With those guys. You know what I mean? Because they're going, no, you're not, right? And internally I'm going, yeah, I am, but you just don't know it, you know? Like my list is not pulling like I want it to. Why? Because I've supported so many people, right? And I haven't focused on building it. I feel like a dinosaur. My list. I can't support my friend Pete. It is killing me right now. It is killing me. That's where Dinosaur comes in. Imposter, no, I've supported people. I've been #1 affiliate, #3, #5, #10. I just want to support them because that launch was my idea. That the name of the launch was my idea. That was 2 years ago when I was in the top 5 before my list got fucked up, right? And so I go, yeah, man, let's do it. Well, he decides to do it 2 years later. And he's calling me weeping, going, God, thank you. I mean, I can't. I go, oh, shit, wait till you see the results. So I don't know. Am I projecting? Possibly, but I'm trying to laugh about it, but I'm really hurting inside because what I set up fell apart after paying, certain people thousands of dollars to help support the launch with email because I needed that, including Facebook and my list. Now I've got 2 legs in a 3-legged stool, which Michelle knows about because she knows Slack. So that's what I'm fighting for. Now, it may sound silly to all of you. Like, why should I worry about that? Because he's my friend. That's why. So I'm sad about that. But thank you for your wishes. Okay. Are we done? Yes.
Last question. About our Q&A session, because I know that I'm that kind of person that I need to review this once again, and probably when I review this once again, I will have more questions. So the question is for you. Do we will have in the future some session only for questions?
Would you like those?
Me personally, yes.
Okay. Before I commit to it, because that's a bigger physical commitment than putting in Facebook, could you first start in Facebook and write those questions down and see if I can answer them and keep up? And then if we get an overabundance, I go, oh shit, I'm just going to answer them. And then I'll say, Sandra, set another thing up. She says, you told me you're only going to do 6 of them and now you're doing 7. I go, no, I may do 10. So start on Facebook and then let's see where it goes. And if there's 5 or 10 or whatever, I can do it. It's easier for me to do it. Okay.
Good.
Is that cool?
Yes,
right.
Because I'm going actually to do kind of experiment with this because I'm running my business in Polish, but as I wrote as my priorities, I want to finally start things in English. So for me, the things, what are you teaching us now so we could teach other, it will be kind of experimenting on myself. So
if I get a lot of questions, I'm going to answer them in a Facebook Live recording.
Okay, thank you.
So you'll have to go through that a little bit. I'll put it on YouTube so you see the captions, but that's the way I would answer them. So I'm happy to do that. I don't always go to that. I go there once a week. So just let me know they're there so you don't feel ignored. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. That happens as well. I never got the email. You don't love me anymore? I do, but I never got the email. It's in my spam folder. All right. Are we done? All right, champions. We're not? Diana? We're not? No. Okay. Yes.
Got a question for you. How can we support you for the launch of Pete? For me, it's really difficult to write copy, but we can do Facebook. We can do, if you give us something.
Here's how. Just opt in and just tell one other person to opt in. And the opt-in page is marketingonline.com/Pete1. And you're going to be stunned at the content. You're going to be stunned. You're not going to come back to me. I guarantee you. He's a rock star. Here, I'll write it down.
Pete1? I think
Pete1.
Okay,
that's
perfect.
it. Yeah, very good, man.
Yeah.
Not bad for a dyslexic, right? Look at that.
I'm not dyslexic. I have something, but not.
Okay, well, that's what you've been telling me.
No,
Right.
ADD.
No, ADD, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, all that shit, I look at it the same way, so that's why. That doesn't matter. Right. Okay, so
All right.
check this out. Check this out. This guy, look how smart this guy is, okay? So look at this landing page. I don't know if you can't, I don't know if you can see this. It says 511 people are viewing this page right now. It just kind of comes up. Then I open this up, and then tells you who's doing it. Now look at the survey. Now, can you see this? Not if you can see it. I don't know if you can see it. Yes, you can see it. Okay. So let me show you how freaking smart he is. Yes, I want access to this training. Step 1 of 2. You know exactly where you are. Okay, which of the best following describes you? Now, this is from Ryan Levesque, by the way. Okay. I'm just starting out. I have a business, but I'm not using speaking as a growth strategy. I'm currently using speaking to grow my business. I consider myself to be a professional speaker and want to be more effective. That would be me. Okay. Now, he's going to look at which of these 4, and then we're going to shape our content for tomorrow's Facebook Live at 8:30 Pacific time. You can come to that if you're around. And I'm going to be speaking to the majority of the people who have coming in. I'm curious if he gets, I have a business, but I'm not using speaking as a growth strategy. It all depends on where they're coming from. Now, if it's GBI, I'm just starting out, no question. Okay. If it's Lisa Sasevich, I have a business, but I'm not using speaking as a growth strategy. Okay. If it's Pete Vargas, I'm currently using speaking to grow my business. And if it's a mastermind for Jeff Walker, I consider myself to be a professional speaker and I want to be more effective. None of the above, you're a loser. You don't belong, you can't click continue. So you see what he's doing here? And so this is genius. And this came from Ryan Levesque. And then he's showing you all the people that are coming in. I don't know if you can see this in the bottom because sometimes it doesn't come up, but all these people coming in. The guy is brilliant. I wouldn't put first name here. That has no purpose. That's the only thing I would change. I put mobile optional, but primary email, and I would put mobile optional and then continue. Opt in, the guy is, you'll see. You'll see. You think I'm giving? Wait till you see this guy. I gave him a message this morning. I said, you have 2 weeks to be a good receiver and ask. Ask for the extra email. Ask for the extra bonus gift. It's time for you to ask all your JV partners, right? So he's not a good receiver as he could be. And how do I know that? Because if I spot it, I got it, right? So he's a genius, and so you're going to enjoy it. Just opt in and tell one other person who you think is relevant and who wants to be a speaker. This training you should pay for, just the freebie. If you end up buying it, I'll give you back my affiliate commission, which I don't know what it is, but I think it's 40%. So whatever it is times 40%. My goal is just to get them opt-ins and for me to see myself in the top 10 so the other people can see me. So next year's campaign will work. Okay. That's what I'm going for. So I'm not expecting you to promote. Okay. But if you opt in, that would be a big help. Okay. Thank you for asking. All right. Done? Going once, twice. All right. Good job, everybody. Takeaways in the Facebook group. Also your questions, a la Justina, and I'll answer when I see a few of them. All right. I almost ended it without stopping the recording. Recording is